the idea of breathing, right? So breathing is important. We know that. On a side note, I was lucky enough I spoke at the Vertimax Summit. I was one of the keynote speakers, and I spoke with Dana Santis, who I know you know very well.
She's the best,
I was blown away. I mean, I'm not saying that because I know you know her. I was blown away. It was the first time it made sense to me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So how do you, or if you, do you incorporate that? I know you work with her a little bit and you incorporate in your program. How do you work with that? And as far as core stabilization, how do you get that across to baseball players? Because I know it's not always the easiest sell in the beginning that we have to work on breathing and core stabilization. And just want to pick your brain on your thoughts on all of it. I know you believe in it, but just want to
your thought about it. For sure. So I think where breathing is powerful is you have the ability to both reduce bad tone and add good tone. Right. It's depending on how you position yourselves, how you approach breathing. So my first kind of foray into this world was, through like the Postural Restoration Institute, got exposed to their stuff around 2009, 2010. And, it really changed my career in the sense that I realized that, just by manipulating the position of the thorax and, impacting the respiratory system could have really a pronounced impact on distal mobility and the outcomes that we got with athletes, whether that was with respect to maintaining shoulder internal rotation or improving IR at the hip or anything like that. Even like neck motion would come around really quickly. So I realized that there were probably a lot of times that we were stretching a joint that didn't need to be stretched. We were trying to stretch out an alignment issue. When you just crank on a joint that's out of alignment, you create instability. So it got me thinking a lot more about, hey, before we stretch, let's understand why we're stretching and what we're actually stretching. And before we do it, let's make sure that we're back in some semblance of neutrality. And that's driven largely by the position of the pelvis and its interaction with the rib cage and the spine. So I think that's where breathing has really come in for us. What you have to be cognizant of as a strength and conditioning coach is that, much like you hinted at, like PRI obviously uses balloons and things like that. If you're going to bust out a couple of balloons and do 9 different breathing exercises while Rage Against the Machine is blaring in the background, your athletes are going to check out really, really quickly. So, with that in mind, it's about being efficient. It's about having certain drills that you coach meticulously, but get in, get out. So I think a lot of people see, my writing or, hear me speak or anything like that. And they think it's this huge part of what we do. In reality, it's 1% to 2% of what we do. Right. And it's, maybe it's a subtle cue that we add. It's a, half kneeling cable chop with full exhale at the bottom of each one. Maybe it's a reverse bear crawl with a full exhale on each step or something along those lines. Or it's just, 1 or 2 positional breathing drills that we'll use at the start of a warm up. And we know, when you exhale full, you get recruitment of your anterior core, your rectus, your external obliques. You're probably toning down a lot of those accessory respiratory muscles when you're positioning your rib cage effectively so that you can actually use your diaphragm well. So, you can go down the rabbit hole as much as you want. Bill Hartman's got some great stuff on, wide versus narrow infrasternal angle. So that stuff that's impacting how we coach breathing, how we pick certain exercises more. So like a wide infrasternal angle, we'll probably do more stuff in supine. We'll do really forceful exhales, almost like trying to blow out the birthday candles. Whereas a narrow infrasternal angle, maybe we're going to do stuff in quadruped, and we use the cue of like fogging up the mirror. So it's a different kind of breath. So, you just understand over the years how to use it a little bit better. And certainly Dana is a wonderful person to speak on a lot of this from her background and, in yoga and understanding how we can use breath to shift to more parasympathetic activity, even beyond just, what we talk about with the alignment aspect of things. So it's a game changer if you use it correctly. I think like anything else, there's some people that have taken it too far, right? So we have the zealots, for various disciplines that kind of fall underneath that umbrella. And so I always look at, when we adopt something like this, we have to figure out how it fits with our existing philosophy. We want to use a tinker, maybe it's 1 or 2%, but it's not like a full-on overhaul.